Good day, good afternoon, good night. How you doing? This is MCM and you're listening to You're Probably Right. Today we are going to have a serious conversation. Well, maybe not a serious conversation, but there's going to be a serious talk happening here. Now, of course, I'm only doing the talking, but just stay tuned.
What's up, y'all? Hello. This is MCM, and this is one of my more raspier episodes of You're Probably Right. Hey, guys. So check it out. I'm not sure if I'm going to be making another podcast, and I know that I've said this before, but honestly, things have changed a little bit. But before I get into all that, I'm going to talk about some other stuff. Now, as you know, I figured out the word evergreen probably about halfway through my 150 or so episodes. I was always saying my podcast is not time-stamped, when really what I meant to say that it is evergreen. It's funny, but that was my own terminology, and nobody ever said evergreen to me before, so I didn't even know what the heck evergreen was. It was a phrase that even existed. Anyhow, evergreen obviously means that your your content, your podcast, whatever it is something that people can use for a long time. It's evergreen. It's always good. It's always a go. Maybe what was something that in life, let's see, tying a shoe, unless they somehow outlaw shoelaces. so if you made a video and it was about tying a shoe, so that's an evergreen or an example of evergreen content, because we know that someone's always going to need to know how to tie a shoe, tie a knot, whatever. Remember, this podcast is for entertainment purposes only. I do not profess to be a professor of anything. I am a believer in the Lord Jesus Christ, of the Bible, the 66 books of the Bible. And yeah, I just like to always say that, even though the podcast is not technically a Christian podcast, it is a podcast by a Christian, me, myself, MCM. And again, this is You're Probably Right. So check it out, y'all. I was just wondering. Now, again, usually my podcast is evergreen, but I would say this time, maybe not so much, but it might be one of those podcasts where, someone I know or someone who listens to me might want to come back and listen to this one in a few years. Who knows? Or how many years in the future. Anyhow, here I am and here you are. Yeah, so as I said, my voice is a little raspy. This is always the same person that you're listening to every week. But I happen to have a cold, I guess, or maybe it's allergies. All I know is my voice is a lot lower than usual, as if you listen to another podcast episode. That's just how it goes. Hopefully I'm not coughing too much. But you know what? I have a trusty can of Coke Zero, which in your time might be outlawed, because it oddly tastes as good as the original Coke, and I'm assuming there's probably something that we probably shouldn't be ingesting. Hear that? So anyhow, it is what it is. So let's tell you what the state of the union is right now. This podcast is being done on June 1st, Saturday, June 1st, 2024, at 9 p.m. in the evening. So much for the evergreen. But maybe the information will be evergreen, so somebody will still come back and listen to it. What do you think? A few different things have been happening lately. So, for instance, the day before yesterday, they charged Donald Trump with 34 counts of, I think it was fraud or whatever, paying off some. And yeah, apparently he took money from whatever to pay, I think her name is Stormy Daniels or something like that, probably a porn star or something like that, to not talk. And I guess he took the money from where he shouldn't have taken it from. Maybe it was campaign money. I don't know what it was. But anyhow, they charged him with 34 counts of whatever. Apparently, they say that this isn't this kind of thing that they would usually charge or criminally charge president. They say that he's done other things like other presidents have in the past. And this, of course, I'm talking about the United States, and I'm a Canadian, so it really doesn't affect me that much. But in a sense, it does, because We are the smaller, younger brother of the United States over here in Canada, and as they go, generally, we go too. Anyhow, so I just wanted to talk about that a little bit, which pretty much that's all I'm going to say. Right now, as I speak, most people don't think he's going to jail, but they're hoping that, I guess the left is hoping that this will smear him enough not to be able to become president. But apparently you can become president even in jail. And then I guess if you're in jail and you're the president, you could probably get them to drop the charges somehow. But whatever. I don't know what's going to happen. Somehow I don't think he's going to become president. For whatever reason, something just tells me that it's not going to happen. And if it does, I think all the people who have jumped to the right or jumped on Donald Trump's side because it's been an obvious smear campaign, I think everybody's going to be in for a rude awakening. Beyond that, I would say the main story that's going on, even here in Toronto, Canada, would be all of the protests surrounding what's happening in Israel. So, as I am speaking, all kinds of things have happened, and apparently it's getting worse and worse in Israel. Israel is fighting against the Palestinians in their country, and there's been so many protest. I think of the Protestants, but there's been so many protests about that situation, and they want to. At this time, they have not yet got Benjamin Netanyahu on war crimes. They're saying that it's an apartheid state. And all kinds of stuff's happening over there. But you know what I wanted to talk about a little bit, again, just a little bit, of all the different stuff that's actually happening in the world right now. Many Christians are, concerned about, is this it? It seems like there's so many countries against Israel. And as we know, in the last days, Israel's going to be surrounded by many countries, according to the Bible. And they're all going to come against Israel, and if it were not for God himself, they would succeed in totally destroying them. But there's a few different concepts that the Bible talks about. The last days is a prominent theme in Christianity eschatology, predominantly found in the New Testament, especially in the books of Daniel, which of course is Old Testament, Matthew, and Revelations, among others. This term generally refers to the period leading up to the end of the world, including various signs and events that precede the second coming of Christ. Here are some of the key typical things that are associated with that time, but check it out. The first one would be wars and rumors of wars. The gospel, particularly in Matthew 24, mentions the end times will be marked by wars and rumors of wars. Nations will rise against nations, and there will be conflicts and turmoil globally, which there are. I'm going to talk about those in a little bit. Just hang on. If you don't know much about this and you're not into the Bible, you're not a Christian, or maybe you're a Christian and you don't know, but just hang on. Again, this isn't the best podcast ever, but it is my best podcast ever. What do you think about that? Maybe not, but anyway. Natural disasters. There shall be earthquakes and famines and pestilence in various places. In the Old King James Version, it says in diverse places, described as the beginning of the birth pangs. Matthew 24, verse 7 and 8. You can check these things out. Again, it is the Holy Bible, the 66 books of the Bible, the regular. You could probably say ESV version, English Standard Version, or New King James Version, or Old King James Version, if you can understand the English. Third, moral decay. Timothy 3, verses 1 to 5 talks about people being lovers of themselves, lovers of money, boastful, proud, abusive, disobedient to parents, ungrateful, unholy, without love, unforgiving, slanderous, without self-control, brutal, not lovers of good, treacherous, rash, conceited, lovers of pleasures rather than lovers of God. And this is so obvious. Like, it's really crazy. I almost want to read that over again, but I mean, you could just rewind it. There's just so many things that are happening right now, and you could almost just sit there and stop at each comma and literally say what's happening as far as those situations are concerned. But yeah, I believe people are becoming more selfish. It's a me time. It's I think this about myself, therefore call me this or say I'm this, and there's nothing you can say, you know. People are trying to fight against that part of it. There's people who are lacking self-control and getting into all kinds of things like drugs and alcohol and behaviors and cell phone addicts and app addicts and video game addicts, and the list goes on. There's even people addicted to just altering their bodies in different ways, and they just can't stop. And you know, they get to a point where like, wow, you really look good, but then you see them maybe 3 months after and it's like, whoa, why did the doctor do that to you? Fourthly, rise of false prophets. There will be false prophets who will deceive many, performing great signs and miracles to mislead even the very elect, those who God has chosen, if that were possible. And that was in Matthew 24, 11, verse 11 and 24. 5, the spread of the gospel. Despite all the turmoil, the gospel will be preached in the whole world as testimonies to all nations. Then the end will come. Now think about that. Before the internet, I know there was phones and I know there was televisions and radio and stuff like that, and most countries around the world had access to those things. But now, you know, with even what's it called? I think it's Cyberlink. I can't remember what it is, but it's owned by Elon Musk at this time. If you didn't have radio, if you didn't have a TV, if you're stuck in the Amazon jungle somewhere, you can still broadcast. You can still take in broadcast all around the world. Think about that. The spread of the gospel is going every single place now. And it says, and then the end will come. It says the abomination of desolation described in Daniel 9, verse 27, Matthew 24:15, and Mark 13:14. This event involves an abomination that causes desolation standing in the holy place. Now, apparently they're going to build some type of a weird thing, I guess, on the Temple Mount in Israel. And that's why there's always, this isn't only why, but the Holy Land, Israel, is just such an important place for so many different peoples all across the world from the beginning of time. Maybe not right at the beginning of time, but most of the time. And whatever happens is in Israel affects so many people for so many different reasons. Let's see. So apparently there's supposed to be some type of sacrilegious event that happens at the Temple Mount or on the Temple Mount. 7, the Great Tribulation, a period of unprecedented troubles, worse than anything from the beginning of the world until that time, and never to be equaled again. That's in Matthew 24:21. 8, the appearance of the Antichrist, described in 2 Thessalonians 2, verse 3 and 4, and Revelations 13. A figure known as the Antichrist will rise to power. Now, people say that this individual is alive even right now. They're just under wraps, I guess, and they haven't come to the forefront yet. This person is going to deceive many. There's going to be all kinds of demonic signs and wonders that this person is going to perform. Apparently, I think he's even going to be shot or killed or something like that, and he's going to come back alive. Now, you might say this is just some type of a boogie woogie story, but the word of God says it. I believe it. Second coming of Christ, of course, this is what I'm waiting for. Jesus will return visibly and gloriously to the earth, and he will come to defeat the Antichrist, judge humanity, and establish his kingdom. It's Matthew 24:27. Now, these things are going to happen at the exact time. I'm just reading off some stuff here. And lastly, the final judgment and the new heaven and new earth describes in Revelations 20:22, where the dead are judged, Satan is defeated, and new heaven and new earth are created, where the righteous will dwell. So anyway, I just wanted to talk about that a little bit. Now, as far as the wars and the rumors of wars, that's the one thing I really wanted to say something about. All the different things that are happening in the world right now. I thought I had a list of them. Let's see if I can find them here. Let's see. Where are all the different conflicts? Thought I wrote them down. Let's see if I can find them. I can't find it. Let's see over here. And yeah. So I'm going to give you 20 things that are happening right now. And I'm telling you right now, we are paying attention to what's happening in Israel. Before I think it was it November 7th, I believe. That was when Hamas ran into Israel and did all kinds of stuff, raping, pillaging, and capturing a whole bunch of people. Well, I think it was some dance thing. I think an all-night rave or something was going on, and apparently they came through the fences and they grabbed and did this and that, and it's been ever since that. Whatever turmoil that was there before, it escalated 700%, if there's such a thing, 700%. Yeah. So the other stuff that was happening, of course, was Ukraine-Russian conflict. Now, these are the things that most most news outlets are not talking about anymore. It was the big thing for about a year and a half or so. There's been many people who've come from the Ukraine through what's happening with them in Russia. But that's all quieted down. Not to say that people are not still coming into the country in Canada anyway, but it's like the news doesn't care anymore. It's all about Israel. But listen to the other stuff that's happening. There's like 20 different things that are happening right now in the mid-2024 time. So this is June 1st, 2024. This is the stuff that's still a problem around the world. Okay, so I said, first, Ukraine-Russian conflict. Ongoing military conflicts between Russia and between Ukraine has been happening since I think they invaded the Ukraine in 2022. That's happening first. There's a Syrian civil war, multi-faction war ongoing since 2011, involving the Syrian government and various rebel groups, Kurdish forces, and international actors. Number 3, Yemen civil war, conflict involving the Houthi rebels and the Yemeni government, with significant foreign intervention, and particularly by Saudi Arabia. 4, of course, we've been talking about this, Israel-Palestine conflict, long-standing conflict over territory and governance involving Israel and Palestine. Palestine invaded Israel. Palestine wants to be its own country and have its own self-determination. Israel seems to be holding them back from doing a lot of different things. The Hamas people, or whatever that is, that whole faction of terrorists, or whatever you want to call them, are fighting against them, hiding in between the regular civilians. Israel's not going easy on them at all at this time, and a lot of people in the world are reacting and not very happy about what Israel is doing, and most of the blame is being pointed towards now and still alive President Benjamin Netanyahu, or Bibi Netanyahu. I don't know why they call him Bibi. It's interesting. Number 5, Somali civil war. Again, ongoing conflict involving government forces, clan militants, and extremist groups like Al-Shabaab. 6, Afghanistan conflict. Continued unrest and violence involving the Taliban, remember Osama bin Laden, and other groups following the U.S. withdrawal. Remember they took off, and all those people dropping off planes, and yeah. 7, Ethiopian conflict. Clashes primarily in the Tigray region involving Ethiopian government, forces, and regional factions. Myanmar. Internal conflict. escalated in 2021. Military coup involving the army and various ethnic army organizations. Who knows who armed them? Sudanese conflict, ongoing violence, particularly in Darfur, and recent political instability following the military coup. Libyan civil war. It's been going on since 2011. After the fall of Muammar Gaddafi, who I think they beat in the streets and he died and killed him, whatever they did to him. 11, Central African Republic conflict. Continued clashes involving government forces and, of course, rebel groups and militants and militias and stuff. Nigerian conflict, including insurgents and Boko Haram, communal violence and separatist tensions, and it goes on and on. Mali conflict, ongoing insurgents by Islamists and militants involving the international forces like France, of course. South Sudanese civil conflict, that's number 14. 15, Kashmir conflict. 16, the Congo conflict has been going on for a long time. There's Burkina Faso insurgency, escalating violence involving jihadists and the government. There's the one that's happening in Cameroon, and I've noticed a lot of people from Cameroon coming to Canada since all this has been going on. Then there's the Mexican drug war, and Mexicans, of course, going into the States, and a lot of Americans not very happy about that. There's also, number 21. Oh yeah, there's also the Colombian conflict. And there's stuff going on in Brazil, and there's stuff happening in Haiti. And apparently the stuff that's happening in Haiti is pretty horrible. But of course, most of the world is all centered around and concerned about Israel. A lot of money is going to Ukraine, and money's been going to Israel to help them fight the Palestinians, and it goes on and on. But there's so much stuff happening right now. It's really a wild, wild time to be alive. But I just want to talk about that. Now, I know that I've probably eaten up most of the time, and I know this is a total different podcast, so I'm just going to switch. I'm just going to keep going. And if you've heard enough or whatever it is, you can tap out. But I'm going to really get to the actual point of this podcast. Maybe I should just start another one. Thinking. Nah, I'm going to keep going. Let's keep it long. Michael Scott. Anyway. The concept of the last days is a prominent theme in Christian eschatology. So remember that. All that stuff is just happening all over the world. Wars and rumors of wars. Natural disasters, there's been a lot of hurricanes. I think it was 55 charted to be happening in the I guess, middle United States. Moral decay is obvious. I don't even have to get into that one. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. It's been happening, buddy. It's been happening, people. Okay. So I'm going to move right along to the actual thing that we're supposed to be talking about today, but I just wanted to go through that. I'm going to read a little blurb here, and you'll see what the flavor of the day is for me and doing this podcast and how I'm looking at life these days, being a podcaster or whatever. Check it out. Life is tough, especially when you feel like you've been taken advantage of. Yet here I am, exposing my flaws and bearing my soul through a podcast that delves deep into topics close to my heart. This isn't just a hobby. It's a public display of my inner thoughts and convictions, open for the world's, critique. And people can consume it however they want to, whenever they want to. I'm on all providers, apparently, still to this day. Running a podcast isn't as straightforward and hitting, just press record. It's a lot more. And speaking into a microphone, it involves navigating a minefield of social expectations and potential backlash because sometimes I don't agree with a lot of the stuff that's happening in society. To date, I've had to delete at least 5 episodes out of fear of misinterpretation, fear of backlash, fear of contributing to the noise in the world. Sometimes I wonder if I stray too far off Christian themes and maybe things that I'm supposed to be talking about sometimes. So I've deleted a couple because of that. This world is increasingly hostile. There's increasingly a lot of hostile voices that, it's difficult to sometimes dare to be different, especially, voices that speak from a place of faith. Nobody wants to hear those voices, and not even faith, Christian voices, because what I find is people are more in tune to hearing about most religions, just not Christianity. Anything, even Catholics, if people call those Christians, even the other, what do you want to call them? People that they call them religions that, sometimes I would say most Protestants would probably call some of the other factions of supposed Christianity as actual cults. But just thinking about like maybe a Baptist or Methodist, Lutheran, Arminian, Reformed, but anyhow, I'm gonna get into all that. But the point is that nobody wants to hear from Christians. They don't want to hear you say Happy Easter. They don't want to hear you say Merry Christmas. They don't want to say God bless you. They don't want to hear you pray. They don't want to hear you say anything about the Bible. They don't want it in your emails. They don't want it anywhere. And as our society goes deeper and deeper into sin and just a whole bunch of madness, many people who aren't even believers are saying, we probably shouldn't have strayed that far. But now it's too late. We're on a roll in the wrong direction. And those who dare to express, the word of God, oh boy, it's like you have to know that you're putting your life on the line, or you're putting your career on the line, or for public scrutiny. Everything is taped now. Even if I decide to pull this one down, like I pulled down others, who knows? Maybe they're still up. The joke is I meant what I said on many of my episodes, on all of my podcast episodes. Of course, I say it's for entertainment purposes, but sometimes it's for education purposes. There's more than one purpose for my podcast. I just say that as a disclaimer, to be honest. Being Black and an individual born in Canada adds another layer to complexities. The media often paints monolithic pictures of what it means to be Black, what words are okay, the so-called N-word, and all that stuff that, you can't do this. Oh, before it was, we didn't want to hear anybody who wasn't Black saying the word. Now we don't want to even hear Black people saying the word, but kids nowadays are using it all the time, and it's leaking into the schools, and it's not even a big punishment anymore. A narrative I find myself constantly at odds with, for different reasons. Each podcast episode is a battle of defiance against stereotypes and, the machine. Rage Against the Machine, remember them? And a personal testament of, what I think and why I do not want to be part of the homogeneous group. The world is growing, not just in population, but technologically. The reach, of course, as I was talking about earlier. Influence that, there's, people like Elon Musk still a powerful man today. I don't know what he will be in the future. It's kind of interesting. I heard, what's his name? Julian Assange, who that guy that they have, I don't know where he's, maybe he's in Britain or whatever he is, but he was the one responsible for the WikiLeaks back in the day. Apparently, they're getting set to possibly get him out of jail. That would be interesting. Um, with every tweet, with every post or podcast, there's risk. What if my words, are not accepted well? What if there are problems? What if it ignites fury? What if my viewpoint is the one that gets me canceled or fired? You know, in this hyper connected, sensitive era, a single misstep can feel like stepping on a landmine. Forgiveness and understanding seems to be in short supply these days. The court of public opinion doesn't care for context or nuance and certainly does not want to forgive. If you slip up, the general advice seems to be keep quiet. Don't defend yourself. It's a sad state when silence is your safest defense. Something that P. Diddy did not do when they caught him dragging Cassie down in the hallway and stomping her and all that stuff. Maybe if he just shut up. But he decided to say, I'm sorry, but not to her, to us. Weird. Anyhow, and then there's the paradox of technology. It's meant to advance us, make us better, smarter, faster. Yet I can't help but notice the irony in how dependent we've become on it. People don't even remember phone numbers anymore. Handwriting is a lost art. Matter of fact, we used to call it handwriting. And, we'd call it printing or writing. And then all of a sudden it became this thing called cursive that I'm telling you right now, I never heard it all of my life till probably 10 years ago. Spelling without autocorrect, what's that thing called? I can't remember what's it called? I can't remember what it is. But you have to pay into it and it helps you correct. Otherwise, you're just lost with this line underneath your typing. What happened when cars drive themselves? Are we improving or just making it easier to forget basic skills? We have self-driving cars. We have cars that park themselves. We have assisted driving, steering and stuff like that. What happens if they put you in a car that's just all manual? There's power steering and now there's technologically advanced assisted steering, seeking community. I've turned to Facebook, hoping to find fellowship and support among fellow podcasters. Instead, I've discovered that even in supposed support groups, you have some wicked people. And I'm telling you right now, even today, I got out of a group. I wrote a blurb. It was there set to help other podcasters, and it's just supposed to be some sort of like a round table, kind of a community discussion, but it turned into 3 or 4 different people attacking my post. I was like, what the deal? First, I said something adverse, deleted it. Then I said, thank you. Then I said, oh, I guess it's cool to have dyslexia and dysgraphia. Maybe that helped my writing skill. I don't know. I mean, all my ideas, anything that I speak of or type out or post anywhere are my ideas. Yes, I might get some correction from, say, a Chat GPT or maybe just a Google this or that, but they're my ideas. And I literally put, keys to keys to document and put down my thoughts. But apparently people want, instead of reacting to the post, these few people decided to react to whether or not it was helped by ChatGPT or some other sort of AI. And yeah, I used the AI to help me create the image. I mean, is it better to get AI to create a new image, or is it better for me just to steal something off the internet that somebody actually made? You be the judge. Anyhow, the space created to foster collaboration and support are riddled with toxic, cliquish behaviors, as I just mentioned, and surpassing levels of institutional control. And I do not want to be controlled by anybody, certainly not people in a Facebook group. Come on. Observing the sheer volume of people working in podcast, monitoring, and moderating content was an eye-opener. It's overwhelming and somewhat disheartening. As a matter of fact, I had to put up a post today twice because there was a small itty bitty picture of my podcast in the actual picture. And basically, again, I was just stamping that for ownership because I had created it. But apparently that's an issue. They said you're self-promoting. You're not allowed to do that. It was nonsense, and I'm thinking of leaving that group as well. After years of working outside the mainstream podcast community, the realization that I might need to reinvent my approach is daunting. Perhaps it's time to embrace video content or some other multimedia forms to stay relevant, maybe. And the question is, do I want to be relevant? I mean, if it's not making money doing this stuff, then I might as well just do what I want to do. And I can tell you right now, I'm not making money. The podcasting landscape is saturated now, and carving out a niche is increasingly challenging. As I reflect on my journey, the notion of turning this passion into a full-time career seems more likely just a pipe dream. Yet there's parts of me that remains hopeful. Maybe, just maybe, there's a way through this new strategy, new platforms, new ways to engage and resonate with other audiences that crave authentic and depth. I don't know. No matter the challenge, I'm committed to this path. I'm here to share and grow and to hopefully make a difference, one episode at a time. But I don't know, guys. Honestly, I don't know if I'm going to keep doing this. So this very well could be the last one, but I mean, I've said it before. I think I said it twice before. It's kind of like my journey trying to use Ozempic. After my fun time with the COVID vax and with COVID just being a mainstay situation for a while and stuck in a house and gaining weight, I thought, someone like me, I might be able to use it. As far as I know, I don't have what is really necessary to have to be taking Ozempic, and I tried it, and it's been useless for me. If anything, it just made my stomach upset all the time. I could eat less, and I didn't drop any weight. So it's basically been pointless. I've tried it twice. First, I did lose some weight, but the reason why I lost weight is because I couldn't keep anything down. It wasn't because the drug was stopping my appetite. It was just making me sick, so that was stopping my appetite. So I know that many people have lost weight off it, and it helped many, but apparently I wasn't even close to having the weight loss dose. So if you get 0.25 or 0.5 or even 1, notice that is not the weight loss numbers. You need to be at 2.4 grams apparently, or whatever it is, maybe not grams, milligrams of an injection for it to be considered a weight loss amount. And then at that point, I don't know if you're eating 1 cashew every day, but I think it'd be pretty rough for me. I don't think I'd be able to make it. So anyway, yeah, that's my little spiel today. And I'm going to answer a couple questions. I think I got about 5 questions and I'm out of here. Can you share a time when you received significant pushback or criticism for an episode, and how did you handle it? Nope, I didn't. And that's because I preemptively erased those episodes, supposedly, as far as I know. And again, the reason was just because, I have bills to pay like anybody else. And, if you work a job that if you don't own your own company, you're going to be held to someone. And even if you do own your own company, if you say the wrong thing, they can shut down your business. So because of my situation, because of the different life situations that I've been in and passings of certain family members and this, that, and the other, and a few different tragedies that's happened in my life, I've decided that I need to play better safe than sorry and realize that there's other ways that I can say the same thing without saying it in a certain way that's going to legitimately get me canceled in today's society. Sorry for coughing I just looked at the wave and that must be horrible in the thing. So sorry about that. Sorry for your ears. So no, I haven't received pushback yet as I speak. Next question. What has been your most rewarding experience since starting the podcast, and how has it impacted your view on media and communication? Well, I would say the most rewarding is just the fact of being able to get the thoughts out. Now, as you know, or people who listen to my podcast all the time know, is that I am an introvert, and therefore I do not keep friends. I have work associates that I deal with at work, and I have family members, which, my immediate family, which is mostly consisting of my kids. That's my circle. And that's why it was kind of cool to get into like a Facebook group to kind of rub elbows, I guess, in a technological advanced way, with people who have like ideas and like-minded. But that hasn't really panned out for me. I think I'm only in 2 or 3 groups, and it's kind of been useless. I've been posting, but so that hasn't been that rewarding. But most of the reward has been actually getting my thoughts out, seeing the numbers rise in viewership, and just having accomplished these things and being able to hold down a whole podcast on my own without not, I don't have to interview others. I don't have to have a big round table. I mean, round table discussion is fun, I can say honestly, but it hasn't been always easy for me to just keep yammering on for a half an hour to an hour and actually have something to say and have an opinion. And I guess these questions help a lot too as well. Can kind of get the juices flowing, I guess. Next question. What has been your... Wait, no, sorry. I did that already. What has been your... Okay, blah, 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 blah. Start. Okay, and... Oh. And how has it impacted your view on media communications? And really, before I found out about how many actual podcasts are really out there and how many people are still getting into podcasting, it's made me feel like, again, as I said before, like maybe I do need just to become a listener, maybe my podcast has run its course. There's so many famous shows on television. I said, for instance, that we're only at like 130 episodes, 140 episodes, 115. And these are like huge shows like Friends and Seinfeld and Cosby Show and Different World and, just different stuff that are really big. And it's like these people stopped and, Office and Superstore and these things, just saying that, do I have more than these people had to say? Not that I'm saying the same thing, but the point is, it's very well a chance that my podcast has run its course and I've said all that I need to say. And maybe I'll go back and listen to them one day. Who knows? Given the challenges and the saturated nature of podcasting world, what motivates you to continue creating episodes? Well, I will say that honestly, the motivation has decreased. I have said a lot, and again, because my podcast has been mostly evergreen, there's a lot of stuff that I kind of just wanted to get off my chest. There's a lot of stuff that I just wanted to talk about and put out there, for people to hear. And you know what? Yeah, it is pretty saturated. I'd be shocked. One time I did I posted in sorry, I don't know why I'm like stuttering today. Not even stuttering, but just going on and back over my words and missteps with my speaking today for whatever reason. But as saturated as it is, I put in one of the groups that I would be willing, if they messaged me with their podcast link, that I would click on it, I would listen to it and give feedback. Funny enough, one guy thought it was such an amazing idea, and he was the only one that actually decided to do that. So he did. And it was actually a really cool concept. That's why I'm going to talk about it. It was about going to different states and talking about those lands. Now, it came from the standpoint of him, or it was kind of like from fiction-based kind of a thing where he's a cat and then the other guy's a dog, and they're like going to these different places in the United States, and they kind of do it as like a narrative. And they talk about different minerals found in Wyoming and all these different things that I never even heard of. And they're going to do that from state to state, maybe city to city, wherever interesting places are in the States. And that's going to be the whole basis of their podcast. And I thought it was a really, really good concept. But yeah, so just to say that people are podding over pretty much anything these days. And the ideas, the the uniqueness of different podcasts really are astounding. Um, how do you see the future of your podcast evolving, especially with the technology changes and shifting landscape of digital media? Well, the only difference for me, I would say, would probably be whether or not I'm going to do visual, like actual video or not. I haven't really decided, and I don't think it's necessary just to see one person sitting in front of a mic, blathering on in front of a camera for extended period of times by themselves. I know other people do it. I can honestly say that those type of podcasts I don't really listen to. Anyhow, we got alarm going off, so I just gotta stop this thing. Hang on. Anyhow, the alarm went off, guys, and I'm just gonna leave that right where it is. I'm not even gonna cut it out. It is what it is. So where was I? Given the challenges, I just jumped up, guys, and had to punch in this stupid code about 5 times, and it just keeps going off. So if it goes on and you hear a slight little beeping in the background, it is what it is. I'm just trying to finish. Given the challenges and saturated nature of podcasting, what motivates you to continue? Well, again, I really don't honestly know if I'm going to continue podcasting, to tell you the truth. But I like the fact that I'm doing a different type of podcast than most people that I've seen doing podcasts, as far as I know. I know there's a lot of people who do stories, sci-fi stories, horror stories, murder interviews, review on music, culture, movies, whatever. And it's just me here talking about things usually having to do with regular life, family life, kid life, work life, and those types of things. And I think that my podcast has been appreciated by a lot of people, which is kind of cool. My last question. There we go. How do you see the future of your podcast evolving? And as I said, it's probably not going to evolve very much, because you know what? I do like audio. I do like the fact of being able just to talk to the mic, and by that way just talking to individuals like yourself and just getting my viewpoints out, and hopefully something in what I say maybe will jog something in your mind, maybe get the juices flowing in your mind, and and really have you either thinking what I think, or maybe totally thinking the opposite, or maybe being able to add some common sense to my nonsense of whatever it is I'm saying. So I don't know if my podcasting is going to change. I don't even know if it's going to end. But either way, it's about my 150th or 151st or whatever, somewhere around there, episode, not including the 2 that I didn't press record on. And I'm pretty happy with what I've created. I couldn't tell you, if you're listening to this one, I couldn't tell you of a better place to really begin than this one. But, you can be the judge of that. Anyhow, thanks for hanging out. This is MCM, and I'm signing off of You're Probably Right for another day. And we are at 47 minutes, and all is well. Anyhow, take care, and hopefully you'll hear me again. Peace out.
Hey, come check out You're Probably Right podcast. Society is getting more unpredictable every day, but at the same time, predictable in its unpredictability. Say that 4 times real fast. Come with me as I attempt to find clarity in all the fog while staying way outside the box and kicking the box way down the road with my size 12 ducks. I use the Bible, experience, education, fortune, misfortune, life's lessons, life's mistakes to sort through all the mess. I talk about news, God, God, self-help, sports, sickness, health, music, parenting, love, humbleness, hurt, pain, joy, and all the things that might make you say, I never thought of it that way. Hopefully, anyway. Also, I take a stab at answering tough and not so tough questions, and all the while understand that, listen, sometimes you end up in the hot seat and there's no thermostat. Well, that's how it is here. And because there's no topic, very few topics off the table, Torontonians will understand that Doug Ford reference there. Hopefully the podcast will be helpful and uplifting. And hey, maybe you'll find your own private Idaho here somewhere. Hope to see you soon.